Glad to be with you here today. This is my favorite trade setup. So let's get started. We only have a brief amount of time together, but I want to pack in as much as I can for you today. A bit about us here at Trading Wins. Again, I'm Vince Vora. I'm the head trader here, and even though it's hard to believe, I have actually been trading for 30 years. But we are real traders, and we are absolutely passionate about teaching. We have been developing our own strategies and trading systems over the years and teaching people from complete beginners to experts around the globe. For those of you who have never met me, this is me here on the left. Trading has been very good to me. I've had the opportunity to travel both with family and for business on the right here. I'm with our coaching coordinator, Raul, who I hopefully we'll have time to bring on a little later in the presentation. This was at our latest live event in Las Vegas. But again, the best thing about trading, one of the things I like the most is that as long as you have a laptop, you can go anywhere and trade from anywhere. I was recently in Peru and went on an extensive road trip, but it's been very good to me. In today's presentation, I'm going to share with you the exact same money management rules that myself and the other traders here continue to use on a daily basis. I'm also going to show you exactly what you're going to need to apply this system. Then, step by step, I'm going to walk you through my favorite trade setup, and hopefully we'll have time to review some symbols together and answer all of your questions. I have one question for all of you quickly. How many of you have actually seen me present at an event or a webinar such as this before? Just very curious. Just type in a Y or N in the chat box. Really appreciate it. Great. Thank you, everyone. Excellent. Okay. Pretty good mix. Thank you. All right. Let's get to it. Remember, please, trading can be extremely risky. So do not trade with real money until you are completely comfortable with the system you are using. And one of the ways we limit our risk or exposure in the market is with our money management rules. This is the core of any trading plan, which is why I constantly review this at every presentation I have. Now, rule number one, don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. I'm sure you've all heard that many, many times, but it is worth repeating. But more importantly, what it's really all about is trading with an amount small enough that it feels completely insignificant to you. Trading is so much more about how you manage a trade once you're in it than it is about selecting that entry. And once you're in the trade, if you're not calm and you're not thinking clearly and you're worried about the money you have in there, you won't be able to manage it appropriately. So please trade with an amount that feels completely insignificant to you. Now, you should also make sure you never put more than 5% of your account balance in any one trade. And the larger account you have, the more you should reduce this. Try to get it down to at least 2.5 or 2%. That way you still have a sizable trade on, but you will be reducing your risk considerably. We live by this rule: never have more than 50% of your account balance active in the market at any one time. And there's two reasons for it. Number one, there are so many factors when it comes to trading and the markets that are completely out of our control, and any major news announcement or event can really drive the markets against you. So number one, it's meant to reduce such a loss should it happen, but if it does, we then have half of our accounts still available to put back into the markets and make back that loss. Also, now more than ever, it is extremely important to be selective, be very picky with your trades, and select the one or two highest trade probabilities per time period. In other words, we've seen many days where the market, the Dow, the S&P, the Nasdaq have been up strongly. And on a day like that, you get a number of setups going in that direction. If you jump in and put a number of trades on, and the very next day the market pulls back against you, which we've seen happen just this past week, then you'll find yourself in a huge hole right off the bat, which is what you're trying to avoid. So be selective, pick the one or two highest probability trade setups per time period. A couple of other settings or rules that we follow is, number one, you will never go broke taking profits. And this is really meant more for those of you who might just be starting out. As you gain experience in the market, You will learn how to remain in a trade a little longer each time. But until that happens, get used to banking those profits when you have them, especially during the type of market environment we have right now. And always remember, always, that trading is never about whether you are right or wrong. That's important, okay? But it is really all about how much money you make when you're right versus how much money you lose when you're wrong. It's all about managing those trades and those money management rules. Now, let me tell you what you're actually going to need to trade this system. First of all, just about any charting platform will do, but by the end of this presentation, I will show you how to get your hands on a fantastic charting platform for free. We only use one indicator with this strategy, and that is the 20-period simple moving average indicator. So just about any charting platform will have it. So there's no need to go out and spend money on new hardware. If you're watching this webinar, you already have everything you need. A few benefits of the system before I actually walk you through it. Number one, it will work on any market, stock options, futures, Forex, globally, any exchange, any time frame, any price level stock. You know, I've personally traded this over in Japan, in Australia, UK, all over North America, different time frames, $2, $3 stocks, and I've traded the $200, $300 stocks. It's based solely on technical analysis, and it works just as well across the board. You don't need a lot of experience for this. By the time we're done today, you're going to know exactly how to spot these entries and how to manage these trades. It has very clear entry and exit points. More importantly, it has extremely low risk. I'll show you just how low in just a few minutes. But most importantly, it has been consistently profitable in so many different types of market environments over the years. It's worked very well for us. So let's talk about the strategy. Again, there are only two components to this strategy. The number one being that 20-period simple moving average. We have tested this with exponential, with weighted moving averages, different time periods, but our testing tells us the 20-period moving average simply works best. Also, the second thing you're going to be looking for on your chart is an engulfing candlestick pattern. Now, if you're familiar with it, we do use it a little differently. I'll explain. But if you are not familiar with it, don't worry about it. I'll not only tell you what it is, but how to use it. For those of you just starting out, very quickly, a simple moving average is calculated by adding the closing price of the security for a number of time periods and then dividing this total by that number of time periods, just a straight average. And an engulfing pattern is actually a reversal pattern that can be bearish or bullish depending on whether it happens at the end of a downtrend, which is bullish, or at the end of an uptrend, which is bearish. But rather than showing you off this small diagram, let me bring up my charts and walk you through this setup. So here, I've got my Metastock platform, and before I talk about the actual setup or draw it out for you, I do want to give you a tip that has served me well, something I learned many years ago. One way to build a watch list that is going to help you succeed is to look for stocks or futures, forex, whatever it is that you prefer to trade, that are trending strongly. So in other words, if we look at a stock, for example, like, I don't know, let's look at, I think it's Starbucks, has been trending very nicely over the past year. See? Something like that. Very orderly. Even if you remove all your indicators from your chart and you just look at the price action, you can clearly tell what direction this is heading in. Okay? And remember, when it comes to technical analysis, patterns repeat themselves. So if you've got something trending strongly, chances are it will continue that way. As opposed to something like Pepsi, for example, that is just back and forth, just a sideways, choppy mess over the past year. So your odds of success with something like Starbucks are much higher than Pepsi. So if you can build a watch list of stocks that are trending strongly, one way or the other, it doesn't matter whether it's up or down, but that is a great starting point. Now, when it comes to our favorite trade setup, let me walk you through this. And there's a couple things you should look for whenever you pull up a chart. Number one is that trend, and if you've built that watch list, you're already there. And number two is momentum. Now, how do we read momentum? We read momentum based on the slope in the price action, okay? Now, you can have slight momentum in your favor, okay? You can have slightly stronger momentum, or you can have very strong momentum in your favor. In other words, that slope is what matters, okay? Now, you can judge it by the price action, or this is where the 20-period moving average comes in. It kind of draws that out for you, okay? And the key here, the real reason why we use the 20-period moving average for trend, or momentum, excuse me, is because during times like this here, when throughout that trend, you get a pullback, okay? You can easily mistake this for downward momentum if you're measuring it based solely on the price action, okay? But when you get a pullback like this, and the moving average is still trending higher, then that helps you understand that this is nothing more than a short-term pullback before a continuation of that trend. Then it just becomes a matter of spotting the precise point to enter before that trend continues. So this is what our setup is going to look like and consist of. What we're looking for is a nice trend higher, and again, the more significant that slope, the better. Okay? Then we're patiently waiting for some kind of pullback or consolidation, okay? A slight pullback. And it's at this point that we're looking for a reversal signal that tells us that this pullback is over and that the trend is going to continue. And that pullback, or excuse me, the reversal signal that we're looking for is that engulfing setup. In this case, a bullish engulfing setup. And what it's going to look like is this. You're going to have a candle and followed by another one that completely engulfs the body of the previous one. In other words, there's a difference between the setup and the actual trigger that gets us into the trade. Okay? For the purposes of the setup, we are only interested in the bodies of the candles, not the wicks or the tails, just the bodies. And to have a valid engulfing pattern, what we need is for the body of the candle on the right to completely engulf the body of the candle to the left. Now, the candle on the left, the body can be at the same levels as the body on the right, but it cannot exceed it, okay? So this here is a perfect bullish engulfing setup. So you have that spike higher, you get a pullback, there's a reversal signal. Now to enter the trade, the trigger in the trade means we're waiting for a trade, one tick or one penny, whatever it is, a trade above the absolute high of this engulfing bar. That includes the wicks, so we're talking about the absolute high. And if we get a trade above that high, we enter long, and our stop would go just below the low of the same candle. Again, the absolute low, including that tail or the wick. This way, we are always limiting our risk to the range of that one candle, okay? And this is a reversal candle telling you that this pullback is over and that this trend is going to continue higher. The exact same setup in reverse is true for a short trade. In other words, we're looking for a move lower, and again, the more significant that slope lower, the better. Then we're looking for some type of pullback or retracement, and it's at this point that we're going to be looking for a bearish engulfing setup. Now, the bearish engulfing setup will look exactly the same as the bullish. In other words, the body of the candle on the right should completely engulf the body of the candle to the left. The only difference is that for a bullish setup, the engulfing candle here, the one on the right, should be green, okay? Because we want it to close as close to its highs of the period as possible. The closer it closes to its highs, the stronger that move tends to be. And for the bearish engulfing setup, you want the engulfing candle to be red for the same reasons. You want it to close as close to its lows of that period as possible. But again, this is a reversal signal, so it tells you this pullback is over and that the trend is going to continue. Okay? Now, as an example, I want you to focus on this area of the chart here, and I'm just going to quickly delete a couple of these lines to clear this up for you. But here, I want you to focus on this area here. Just delete that. There we go. I want you to focus on this area here. So during the span, you can see there was clearly a trend higher, right? And that's exactly what we want. Second thing to spot is that pullback. So we're waiting for some kind of pullback here. And then at this point, we're looking for that reversal signal in the form of a bullish engulfing setup, which happens right here. You can see the candle on the right completely engulfing that candle on the left. At that point, we wait for a trade above the high of that bar. We get it on the very next candle. We go long. Our stop goes just below the low of that same candle, okay? And off it goes. Okay? Now, what you're going to notice as I go through examples is that the majority of the time, once it does trigger, it tends to move in your favor immediately, which is huge for a couple of different reasons. Number one, remember, it's how you manage that trade that's more important than selecting that entry. And having it move in your favor immediately really helps you calm down, think clearly, and manage that trade appropriately. But for those of you who trade options, I know there must be many of you out there, you know how important it is, or how difficult it is, I should say, when you get into a trade and it pulls against you immediately. That loss in premium, that initial loss in premium, requires a much greater move to the upside to make that loss up, doesn't it? So it's very important to have this move in your favor immediately. Now, there's a couple things that I want you to be very aware of. When you do get that setup, it doesn't matter whether this setup happens in front of that moving average, whether it overlaps it like it is in this case, or whether it happens below that moving average. What matters is that at the time of the setup, there is still a positive slope in that 20-period moving average. In other words, if this were to pull back too far, the moving average would start flattening out and rolling over. At that point, you've lost momentum and you do not want to take that trade, okay? Secondly, a very important rule here, once you have that setup and you're waiting for that trade above the high, should this trade below the low first, you want to disqualify that trade or negate that trade and move on to a different chart, okay? That one rule will save you from most trades that would otherwise have been stopped out, okay? So very important. Let's go through a couple more examples here. And actually, there's one other thing I want to highlight here. Here's this trade. Let me zoom in for a minute so you can see it a bit clearer. Okay? Here's this setup. Now, usually during a sustained trend, you're going to get multiple opportunities to enter. In other words, no market goes straight up. Okay? There's usually a zigzag pattern and you get multiple pullbacks. Now, looking over here, there was another entry right in here, another engulfing setup. Can anyone tell me the difference between this setup versus this one and why you might want to trade one versus the other? In the interest of time, let me tell you, look at the size or the range of this one candle here, okay? From high to low, all right? Compared to the range from high to low of this engulfing candle. Okay, one is about $3, the other one is about $1, just over $1. Well, that range is associated with risk. That is your risk on the trade. So they may look like very similar setups, but you're taking a lot less risk on one than the other. Okay, look at the reward. Okay, now no one's saying you're going to get the full move. None of us have a crystal ball. okay? But even getting a portion of that move will more than make up for many losing trades. That's the real key here, keeping our losses tight and having those much bigger winners. So I can tell you, in the long run, my experience with this system has been you will not only have more winning trades than losing trades, but your winners will be much greater than your losers. But the other point I wanted to make along here is the fact that you get multiple setups during a sustained trend, okay? If you're more of an aggressive trader, you can add to your position at every additional setup. If you're more conservative like me, you'll just maintain that first trade and you'll use subsequent setups as further confirmation that you're in the right trade and you want to stay in there. Okay, let's look at a few more examples here. Let's talk about a short trade. Let's have a look at a short trade. Yeah, oops. Mistyped the symbol. Let me enter that for you again. Here's a chart of Mattel. Okay, now on the short side, it's exactly the same thing. Let me zoom out here for a second so you can see more of the chart. There we go. And even look more recent here. And there's several setups going back here. You can spot many of them, but let's go over here. Center this. And what you're looking for when you first bring up a chart, right? Trend and momentum. So if we look at the far right here, which is what we'd be looking at if we were trying to spot a trade today, you know, is there trend and is there momentum right here? It looks pretty sideways, doesn't it? So not much to look at. Let's flip to another chart. But if this was a time like back here, when we did have trend and momentum in our favor to the downside, okay, we'd just patiently be waiting for some kind of pullback, okay, and then looking for that reversal signal in the form of a bearish engulfing setup. Now, the candle colors, you can have a bullish setup that's green on green, or you can have a bearish red on red like this, or it can be red on green. The color doesn't matter. What matters is that the body of the candle on the right completely engulfs the candle, or the body of the candle on the left. But for a bearish engulfing, you want this candle to be red, okay? And you can see this one close very close to its lows, which is exactly what we want. We then want to wait for a trade one tick just below the engulfing candle here, just below the absolute low. Once we get it, we go short. Our stop goes just above the high. And by short, you can short sell the stock. You can buy a put. You can sell a call credit spread. There's many ways to do this. You can do a combination of it. The key is that once it triggers, boom, there's your move. And I want you to really look at the risk you have on compared to that potential profit that you can grab. Okay, it's huge. Now, as I mentioned, it works in multiple time frames. It works for futures, Forex. Let's look at, for example, some futures contracts. Okay, let's look at crude. Crude's something I follow closely, and it's been very interesting as of late, breaking off to new lows. It's been incredible. But look how easy these are to spot. And this is a great example here. Look at this strong trend lower with momentum in our favor. Now remember, when you're waiting for that pullback here, it doesn't need to be a reversal. It can be a pullback or a consolidation. Here's about 4 or 5 days of sideways consolidation. What happens next? There's our bearish engulfing setup. Okay? That's a reversal signal telling us that consolidation is lower and that the trend is going to continue. How do we know? We wait for a trade below the low. Once we get it, we go short, buy a put, sell a call credit spread. We put our stop just above the high of the same candle, okay? And boom, off it goes. Textbook. Here more recently was another one right here. See, what you're actually doing with this is not guessing. You're actually taking the safe trade throughout all of this. In other words, these sideways choppy periods are where you're at much higher risk of getting stopped out. Now, it also depends on the current market environment. Lately, we have seen more stops. This isn't 100% accurate. No one's saying it is. There will be losses, but when your losses are restricted to the range of the one candle compared to your profits, that's what in the long run will more than make up for those losses. Here, this trade is still an active one to the downside. Let's look at some, we can look at Forex pairs, for example. Let's take currency, and I'm just guessing here. Let's take the JPY. If we have time, we can take some symbols. I'll ask you to enter a symbol into the chat, and we'll pull up a chart together and analyze it. Right here, most recently, right here, there was a setup after this pullback. And again, not a very wide range candle, okay? Which means not a lot of risk. Once it triggers, off it goes to the upside. Okay? Let me share with you, we still have a few more minutes, I believe. Let me share with you some of the trades that we've highlighted for our members in some of our nightly videos. Oops, let me try that again. Some of these require an extra symbol there. No, let's try that one again. Yahoo. How many of you trade Yahoo? This was a little while ago. Right in here. Can you spot it? Nice trend lower. See right now? Kind of flat. You want to trade during the times when you have that trend and momentum in your favor, one way or the other. That's putting the odds in your favor. Okay, when you're trading with trend and momentum on your side, you've already won half the battle. So you get that move lower, you wait for that pullback. Once you get that pullback, you start looking for that reversal signal, and there it is. There's your bearish engulfing setup. Okay? Wait for that trade below the low, and boom, what happens next? There it is. Very nice. So, textbook. That's exactly what you're looking for. Let me show you a couple more. INSY here. INSY, can anyone spot these? It won't take you very long. Trust me, go through your charts. When we're done here, you'll see them everywhere. Okay, but the key is that at the time that you get these setups, like there was one right in here, okay, green on green this time, what matters is not where the setup occurs. What matters is that you have that slope in your favor. There was another one right here. Okay? Okay? They're all over the place. Okay? Here, let me show you another one. Now, here's one that we just got stopped out of. Okay? It was right here. This setup here. Okay? It did move in our favor initially, but we were looking for a slightly bigger profit, and then, the overall markets turned over, and it ended up stopping us out. During choppier markets, you will get more stop loss. What's important, though, what's crucial is that you limit that loss to the range of the one candle, so that when you do catch a trending market, well, you have a lot more room for profit and more than make up those losses. Now, in the interest of time, I do want to take some questions. So let me get back to my presentation here and try to finish up quickly for you. Just let me bring this back up, and then we'll get to some questions. So I just wanted to quickly summarize. As you've seen, this will work in any market, stock options, futures, Forex, globally, any time frame. You saw just how easy it is to spot that setup. And believe me, it's strong enough to use as a standalone system, but because it only has that 20-period simple moving average, it's very easy to incorporate or add to any other system that you're trading with now. As you've seen, once it triggers, it tends to move in your favor immediately. And the majority of the trades that don't work out are not even lose. Most of them are just negated trades. That's the real benefit. Now, I've shown you the basic entry points and mechanics of the system, but let me tell you about our pro training course that we have for this. Okay? We've put together a package for you that gets you the full recording of our most recent live class, and this will be delivered right to your email so you can start learning right away. It's about 2.5 hours, and in this class, what you're going to learn is the complete system from entry to exit, including 6 different exit strategies that I will teach you. Also, how to add a very unique way to add support and resistance that will really increase the accuracy of this and help you differentiate between the average setups and the very, very high probability setups. I'm also going to show you how to use 2 Fibonacci tools to help you with those entries and those precise targets, where exactly to know where to exit even before you put the trade on. And I'm going to show you how I trade this system with options. I'm also going to teach you 4 additional trade setups that you can use with this that'll keep you very active. And also, as always in our pro training courses, we will run a scan together for trade setting up that coming week. So the link for this class is tradingwins.com/candle. But let me tell you everything you're going to get so you know that it's right for you. A few minutes after you sign up, you'll receive an email with a link to the previous recording of our pro class. You'll also be able to attend any future live class, and we have one actually scheduled for the 5th of February coming up. And if that wasn't enough, we're going to throw in a 30-day membership here to our pro service, and I'll get to that in a minute. And I really want to tell you all about it because it's a very important part of the training course. As an additional bonus, you're also going to get a 60-day free trial to Metastock Pro, the software I was just using right now. It's really fantastic. Now, we normally offer just the course alone for $297, and believe me, we sell plenty of these at that price because it's a really great value. But with everything else included in this package, it's a value of $1,100, almost $1,200. But today, because Reed and everyone else at Investor Inspiration have been so great with us and keep inviting me back to speak again, we wanted to do something very special for everyone here. So today, we're offering all of this to you for just $97. Okay? Trust me, at this price, it's an unbelievable value. For me, it's really not about the money anymore. I do very well with my trading. For those of you who know me, you know how passionate I am about teaching, and I really want you to have this information. Now, I said that I would tell you about our exceptional pro service that you'll be getting for 30 days. So we've talked a bit about how trading can really change your lifestyle. You know, more money, more time, the important things like spending time with family. It all comes from that. But let me tell you everything that you're going to get that's exclusive with this membership and how it'll really change the way you trade. You get daily updates from us that get you ready for trading the very next day. Our updates come in video format, and we know your time is valuable, so even though they're packed with content, we like to get right to the point in our updates. Also, in these videos, you're also going to get unique trade analysis and trade setups for the next day, just like the examples I showed you in today's presentation. You'll be able to follow along step by step and see exactly why and how we're trading using not just this setup, but 3 of our best performing systems. These systems have been giving us winners for over 14 years in a row now. And these are not just, you know, your run-of-the-mill trade alerts. These are setups that are handpicked personally by me each and every night, so you can feel confident that you have over 30 years of trading experience working for you every night. You're also going to get to attend our weekly live chats with me, which happen every Thursday morning. And this is really my favorite part of the Pro membership because I get to interact with you and answer all of your questions about trading. Also, I find our membership base is phenomenal, and really smart group of people, and in addition to having access to my knowledge in these sessions, you get the benefit of hundreds of years of training experience from all the members as well. They ask some great questions, and it's the place really to get all your answers for your trading. I really love it, and I know you will too. And as a pro member, you also get discounts on our educational courses and special gifts from us. Just recently, for our Black Friday event, we sent our members a free video course on the secrets of technical analysis. This course was part of a training event that people paid over $2,000 to attend. So I'm passionate about education, and I wish I had access to services like this when I was learning to trade, but believe me, it makes a big difference to have an experienced trader hold your hand and mentor you through the ups and downs of the markets. And this is all included as part of that package I just described to you. So just go to tradingwins.com/candle to get yours. So there it is. It's an unbelievable value, but I've spoken for quite a while now. I know there are questions. Let's try to get to a few. I'm going to bring Raul on. Hopefully he can help me read a few off quickly, and we'll get through as many as we can. Raul?
Vince, I got to tell you, I'm a little embarrassed because somebody forgot to change the date. It says it's February 5th, 2015. It should be 2016.
Oh, geez, look at that.
So it is 2016 for the folks that are asking. Michael was saying, what time is the class on Feb 5th?
It's 1 p.m. 1 p.m.
Eastern?
Yep. But, so here's the thing. Let me elaborate a little. You're going to get the recording of the previous class we did, and you'll get that immediately, so you can watch that, start trading this right away. If you have any questions on it, you'll be able to attend those live market chats every week, and those are recorded. So even if you're working and can't attend live, you will get those recordings as well. So you're going to get the previous recording. You're going to get at least 4 of those during your 30 days of membership of the live market chats, and then you'll get to attend the class in February.
You mentioned an interesting point at the beginning of your presentation, saying as long as you have a laptop,
Absolutely.
Trading gives you the option to have that flexible kind of lifestyle. Who doesn't want that? Nobody wants to be chained down to a desk.
Yep.
But having a laptop without having the proper knowledge can be dangerous, can it not?
It can. That's why I said at the beginning, please don't trade with real money until you're completely comfortable with it.
What happens with your 30-day membership?
So at the end of the 30 days, if you're enjoying it, and I know you will, you don't need to do anything. It'll automatically renew at $97 a month. But if for whatever reason you'd rather not continue, just give us a call before those 30 days are up, and we will put a stop to that.
Jay was asking, so in regards to the strategy, so you entered the trade at the start of the period, just after the engulfing candle, is that correct?
As soon as you get a trade above the high of that engulfing candle, for a long trade that is, or a trade below the low of that candle for a short trade. But you only do so if it hasn't already traded below the low, right? Below the opposite side of it first. Absolutely.
How do you trade this with options?
You see, the beauty of options is it really allows you to leverage this strategy. In other words, it's very safe as it is because your risk is only the range of that one candle, but with options you can really exploit this. And during the class, I'm going to show you exactly how I do this. I'll talk a bit about delta, what kind of expiration you should be looking for, when you want to buy a call or a put versus selling a credit spread, all of that. I'll teach you that.
For Christine, who's asking, I have a small account, will this work for me? What do you tell traders that, you've talked about how it's changed your life, having the option to trade and make a living that way. What do you tell somebody who's trading with a small account? First
of all, I always tell my students, whether they have a lot of capital or not, that they should start off trading with a very small amount. So the fact that you have a small account is not at all a problem. In fact, because you're taking such a small risk, and especially if you can do this with options, you don't need a lot of money. One contract alone you can trade with, and you can start building your account from there. Only a few $100s is all you need, really.
Excuse me. Another member was asking, do you set the stop based on body or absolute body and tail?
The stop will be based including the tail. So only the setup is where we're not looking at the wicks or the tails. But for the trigger and the stop, we do incorporate the tails and the wicks, yeah.
Our friend Gary was saying, using Vince's system, I bought Kroger and I'm now at 4.33 points. The system works. Thank you, Gary. It's always nice to have you on. Thanks for the nice testimonial there. Vince, will the class on the 5th be recorded? That's from
yes, it will. So
Raj.
It's great to have multiple recordings, even though it's the same class, because the Q&A portion will be different. We always get people from different backgrounds, different levels of experience, and new questions come up that lead to other topics. So it'll be great to have both.
Walter was asking, will this work on smaller time frames? I know that's a popular question that comes up, especially with the folks that are day trading or trading on smaller time frames.
Absolutely, and during the type of environment we've seen recently where there's been a lot more chop on the daily chart, Going down to a lower time frame has worked great. We have many members that use this on the S&P 500, for example, the S&P minis on a 5-minute, 15-minute, and do very, very well.
Gary was also mentioning CCRN. We won't have a chance to look at that here today, but for the folks that are interested, you can take a look at CCRN.
But our live market chat's on Thursday, and if you're signing up today, you'll be a member. You can join us on Thursday morning. It happens 10 a.m. Eastern every Thursday. And again, if you're working or you can't make that time slot, they will be recorded. You can also email me questions ahead of time that I will answer during that session, and then you can watch the recording later.
Doris, who says she's joining from Europe, says, when will the session be held? Most comfortable time is 12 to 3 Eastern. That's exactly when it'll be held.
Yeah, it'll be held at 1 o'clock.
Right in that time.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Will the monthly membership only include trades from this system?
No, it actually includes trades from 3 of our core systems. So that's another added benefit. You're not just getting setups from this, you're getting them from all of them.
What's your favorite part about the Pro class, the Pro training course?
Is the interaction. It's just like the Thursday sessions. It's being able to have that discussion and clear up any confusion there is. The goal for that class, by the way, on the 5th, which you'll hear in that previous recording, is for me to answer every single one of your questions so that when you walk away from that session, you're completely comfortable trading this on your own, okay?
You know, this is a course we do sell for $297 on our store, and people within a week or 2 weeks of buying it say, hey, I've been able to make back that money many, many times over. How long will it take you to do that with $97?
Right. I mean, even with one option contract, one trade alone can take care of that.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It's tradingwins.com/candle to get the $97 offer. You really will get a lot of value out of it. The course will be delivered to you within a half hour. You'll also get a notification on your membership benefits, what you can expect, how you can access them. You're really gonna love it.